So I'm doing some more readings from my experience book, which is, some people call it a trip journal. It's the log of my psychonautic activities. For the most recent one, I should say. It's not the only book I have. There's a good amount of stuff in here. A lot of drawings and stuff, too. A lot of, see if I can line it up with the camera lens, because I can't see what I'm doing. A lot of sigils and such in there. So a lot of stuff I wind up using in ceremony or ritual. I'm just going to go through and I'll read a few of the pages or passages or experiences that are in here. Okay, this is good. I hit a point. Actually, no, I'll explain it after I read it. I'll explain what this came from after I read it. Oneness is actually noneness. Primordial none splits into one. Merging with the one and becoming one with everything is still a step too far away. It is the void itself beyond oneness that is the true source. That void and that abyss exists under and beyond Pisces' depths. It is beyond this infinite void that everything exists in potentia. But the loop has to close. The snake has to bite its tail to manifest. Then on the other page, somewhat related, because I mentioned Pisces depths, I'm right down. Scorpio carries Pisces upstream. Cancer drags it on shore. The earth signs give it form. Fire hardens the clay and gives direction, and air sends it on its way. Just like the first fish to drag its body on land and take a racking, painful gulp of air. Void is king, binary is an illusion. The void is by its nature emotionless, but 3D would perceive it as bliss. Bliss is the 3D perception of 5D perspective and up and out, and up and out, and up and out. So you can tell, actually, I had sort of two parallel trains of thought running at the same time there that I was trying to write out. And then I drew this picture, which is like a shoreline going up like a little riverbank. There's shore, there's fire, and there's air with infinity flying in it. And I wrote down Pisces to Scorpio to Cancer to Taurus to Capricorn to Virgo to Leo to Aries to Sagittarius to Gemini to Libra to Aquarius. Alright, so to explain these, because I just dropped a bunch of my brain on you at once. One was I was trying to work out in the astrological sense how manifestation would work. And being as to my study and perception, Pisces is it's the sign of the 12th house. It's the sign for raw, pure spirituality and creativity in the dream world and the ethereal spirit state. I don't like to use the word spirit, but spirit state. Pisces is the deep ocean, and Scorpio is the river. So I realized then that Pisces itself is the energy, and Scorpio is like the magician or the manifester or the gateway, pulling that energy further in. Cancer makes it a home. Cancer is amphibious. Cancer brings it into shore. The earth signs each anchor it or give it a boundary or give it form. The fire signs give it emotion and drive and reality. And the air signs allow it to communicate and continue on its way. So that was that concept I went into there. The other concept was I was having a lot of psychonaut experiences in which I would hit oneness, I would merge with the all, Satori, that state of nirvana, and I wasn't satisfied. It was indescribable. Like the last time when I had this breakthrough, it was indescribably beautiful. Like I met God, for lack of a better term. I met Source. I met whatever. I met the beings and being and concept of pure light and love. But I had a feeling that wasn't the end, and that was still a mask. So I pushed through that concept, and it was just pure bliss at that point. It was beautiful. I can't, just thinking about right now, I can't really describe it. Imagine that God is real in whatever form you want to see, source or creator. Okay, imagine a benevolent, kind, protective God of love and light is real. And imagine that not only do you find him or her or it or they, and you merge with them, but then you push through it and you find sort of the source of their power and you merge with that source of just pure love. And it was just indescribably beautiful. And I pushed through it. And it was the most painful separation I've ever felt when I broke through. And I stood in the void space. I stood in the space outside of Source. And I traveled the infinite shores of that space until I found nothing. And I stepped into nothingness. I've said this in other videos and other writings, but to call it nothing is a misnomer because nothing's still a concept. Nothing's still something. This would have to condense and coalesce and be given form and direction to become enough of something to become an empty universe. It would have to be given direction to become nothing. That's how dispersed it is. And then we'd have to be given more direction to become source or universe or God or love or light. And then you just filter down the line by there, like after that point. A lot of people hit the oneness, hit the nirvana state. Some people, especially from what I hear about talking to people who've done dimethyltryptamine, some people push through that and past that oneness nirvana state into something greater. That's their breakthrough. I broke through my breakthrough. And I found nothing of the most existential kind, the kind that tells you there really is no meaning, and that all senses of creator and universe and self and love and order are all just condensed and lesser than what's out there. That source of love and light is not the universal source. It's just as far up the chain of command as we can see. On paper, in theory, that's a terrifying idea. In practice, it was the most comforting concept I'd ever experienced. You have a source, it's light and love and all the good vibes that the hippies like. Culture and ego and perception and ceremony put different masks on that source. They give different genders to that source. And that's how you get deities. Deities are fractured facets of source because they're easier for your perception, your ego, your upbringing, your culture to handle. People have managed to move not quite in a post-deity spirituality, but we're very much at the point of omniism now across the board, which means that we recognize what I just said. For the most part, people will recognize and are becoming comfortable with the concept that all gods are a different facet on the jewel that is the universe. And they're also a little bit more comfortable with the idea of multiverses and multiple universes of multiple god energies that at some points can overlap and co-create extra dimensional experiences. I'm getting a little into DMT space there. That's a whole other video. I experienced breaking through that concept and finding nothing. Finding a cold, indifferent to 3D perspective reality that's just as cold and indifferent to the source universe, and it's just as cold and indifferent to deities as it is to us. Like I said, it's a terrifying, existential, horrible, negative experience to most people. That would be terrifying. I love the concept. Deities are regional managers that we make up, mostly to outsource responsibility for our own spirituality. We are all just as qualified as every god that humans have ever worshipped, if we just let ourselves be. The universe is the supervisor over those deific concepts. We're still a microcosm of it, but the universe is large enough and infinite that, again, through the cross section of third and fourth dimensional perception, we can't fully comprehend it. The universe is the corporation itself. Oneness is being on the board of the corporation, seeing how it's run, seeing how it's being run, being in the board meeting. The void state that I hit, the nothingness, the no thingness. I've been spelling nothing KNOW hyphen THING. But hitting that state of no thingness is stepping outside the corporate office, and much like Plato's cave, seeing the real world outside this office building for the first time. Imagine if you worked in an office building. You did something to do with nature. You worked in an office building that designed forests. Forest exists because of bureaucracy. You design worlds. You design realities in their purest form. but you'd never been outside of that office building. And one day you're allowed to go out into that world that you designed and created. Kind of like Plato's The Cave. Now take it one step further. You design the things that hold universes. But for the first time, you're able to step outside into a space that has no design to it. That raw potential. That space is the void. That's the space of no thing. To 3D perception, it is infinite chaos. Indifferent. Unknowable. But it is also the most beautiful place I have ever seen. And the most beautiful concept, to my perspective, that I have ever experienced. So that was 2 pages out of this. The writing goes to here so far. So there's going to be a few more of these videos. Stay tuned.